first question we have for you is, do you have any tips for keeping a friendship strong while your friend is going through a new phase of life, like dating, engaged, newly married, like that?
Yes, I do. I have 6 married brothers and sisters, and I have many friends that have gotten married, and I've also had the desire to get married for at least 10 years, and I feel like, a lot of my friends, they were in their mid-20s and they weren't married. I'm like, I'm never going to make it to my mid-20s and not be married. I'm going to go on Christian mingle and I'm going to get married because all I want to do is get married and have kids, right? And that's an honorable thing that can really honor the Lord. But I think the Lord really wanted to teach me some things through that. And specifically, like both my sisters got married 3 years ago. And in that time, there was a very small possibility that I may have been able to enter into a relationship as well. And I was really excited about that. But then at the same time, I knew that it was more my flesh that wanted it than the Lord. And really, I had to learn how to really give that to the Lord. And my twin sister, she wanted to get married more in her late 20s or early 30s, and she wasn't really even that excited. And then 3 guys come her way, and, and I'm like, what? This isn't right. But then really learning what and why am I doing what I am doing, and it really spoke to me last night when Serena said give it to the Lord. What do we need to give up? And with Kelly in the play as well, it's well, being a missionary is a really good thing, but really, if our dreams aren't completely in line with God's will for us, it's our flesh that's getting in the way, and even godly things can still not be a good thing. And there's a couple of friendships that I want to look at in the Bible, so if we all want to go to 2 Kings chapter 2. I knew I was going to get a little, it's really easy when I'm not up here. And the passage is 2 through 12, but I really just wanted to just point out, and especially verse 3, and it says, And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha, and said unto him, Knowest not that the Lord will take away the master from thy head today? And he said, Yea, I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Jericho. And he said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they came to Jericho. So here we have the story of Elijah and Elisha, and Elijah is taken up to heaven. And 3 times in this passage, Elijah says to Elisha that he will not leave thee. And I think that friendships are so important, and that sometimes it can be hard for someone to get married and just be like, well, I'm not going to have the same relationship with my sister anymore, or they could go away and get a different job, but God calls us together to minister to each other, and that friendship is really important in all stages of life, because it's it was hard for my twin sister to get married, and she knew her relationship with me was going to change, and I was like, well, I'd rather be you, and she's like, well, in a way, I'd rather be you, but it's we just really, the Lord really worked in her life and in my life in that same stage, and I believe that God was honored in all of that. And in John 19, 26 and 27, I'm not going to go there, but the reference is John 19, 26 and 27. It was right before Jesus' crucifixion, and he tells John that he really wants them to take care of his mother, because he had a really good relationship with his mother. And so oftentimes, our relationship changes with people, but it's really important that we keep those friendships going.
So the next question is, how can we be genuinely happy for a friend who is getting married when we feel sad at our loss of the old friendship with them?
That one was a bit more tricky for me, how do I answer this? But the biggest thing that I believe that God has spoken to my heart is that we don't look at it as a loss, but as a gain. and that I have gained more sisters as my brothers have gotten married, and that I didn't lose my brother. And I think sometimes that's what can be difficult in a large family when you're close with everyone. And like it was really hard for me when my oldest brother, when he got married, like I was only 14 and he was 22, and oftentimes like he would tell me something and his fiance would be like, "Why did you tell Laura that before me? Like, you're not marrying her." And I was a bit like, I knew, like, in his heart and in my heart that, like, he had a closer relationship with Shannon. But in a way, it blessed me to, like, really realize that I had a strong friendship with my oldest brother, and me and my sister-in-law get along really well. But it was hard to just, and at that point, like, at 14, I wasn't like, oh, I want to get married right now. But it was still, like, I felt like I might be losing my brother, but I didn't. And it was really nice, like when we milked cows and stuff and everything together, and we can hold on to those memories. And even now I don't talk to him very much, but at the same time, because our lives are completely different. He's a father and a husband, and I don't see him as much, but at the same time we still have the connection that oftentimes I know that I can go to him and really get wisdom because we had that relationship before. And I think that we have to see that it's not what we're losing, but what we're gaining. And it's our attitude and how we choose to look at a situation.
Perspective.
Yes, it is. And there's one passage that I'd like to go to for that one, and that is Philemon 1. Verses 15 to 18. For perhaps he therefore departed for a season, that thou shouldest receive him forever, not now as a servant, but above a servant, a brother beloved, specially to me, but how much more unto thee, both in the flesh and in the Lord. If thou count me therefore our partner, receive him as myself. If he hath wronged thee or with thee, put it on mine account. So Paul had shared the gospel with Onesimus when he was in prison, and Onesimus, he called him his dear son, and he's like, whatever I have, like, give I to thee. And so we really see, like, there's so many bonds and friendships that God calls us to be in unity with each other. So again, that's like, they weren't even blood bought, but yet they had the family ties. They had the connection because of how they had ministered to one another. And what a blessing that can be that we don't see. It's like, what is a loss? But it's like, what can we give to others? Because when we look at it as a loss, it's more like our focus is on ourselves. It's on our flesh and what we can get out instead of what we can give out.
So how do we learn to relate to and be understanding of our newly married friends?
I think that more of my friends are actually married than they are single, and I've been really blessed to be able to, because sometimes it can be like, they can think the same thing, like, am I going to relate to you the same as I did before? And they don't want to lose the bond that they have from you, because people relate to each other differently. And a lot of my friends have been married, and I've been able to babysit for them when they go out on dates and different things because sometimes they can feel like, what am I doing? I'm just living my life, taking care of this child or not even. And even if they struggle with having children, then it's like, what's their purpose? Now I'm just married, and like they can get the feeling that they're like stuck, married and stuck. And I'm like, oh, I'm single and stuck. It's like, but it's like our attitude. It's our attitude, and like, are we really seeking to like live our full potential for the Lord? And the Lord has called us in different seasons. I never would have guessed that I'd be 28 and single. And I think that God knew I would have guessed that. And that's why he's like, I'm going to give you this because you need it and you'll rely on me more. And I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful for that. And it's not always easy, but at the same time, in the easiness of life, we don't grow. And we're just like, it's not relatable to this message, this question per se, but I know like when we were struggling raising a family and everything, it was really hard to make ends meet in 2009, but yet that's when we sought the Lord more. So I think it's like when our friends are getting married, we might be like, well, when is it going to be my turn? But to really look at it as investment in lives of those around us. And that sometimes it's not easy for them to just go and get married. Yes, they're choosing to. Nobody's forcing them to. But that there are so many married friendships that have really good relationships with their single friends.
So some girls feel that if they're not getting married or going to college, they don't know what to do. What are some ideas of productive things that girls can do in this stage of life?
It was my brother Tim, and him and his wife Rebecca were both 19 when they were in a relationship, and Rebecca did not live in a very stable home, and she ran from home during their courtship, and it was just really stressful on her family, and we were really good friends with her family, and then through that event, her family blamed us for like taking her in and for like really encouraging her to walk with her life in the Lord, because she was in a really unstable environment, and they felt that we were just like taking sides. And so since the beginning of their relationship, we haven't had a good friendship with my sister-in-law's family. But it was kind of through that event and through those different things that happened that, like, talking to Tim and Rebecca, and they're like how I was able, I went on my first missions trip in 2014, and then I went in 2015 and 16 and 17. 2014, 15, 16, and 18. And how, like they said, that they wish that they were able to use more of their singleness to minister to other people and to be ministered in different ways. And how the Lord really helped me in that situation, because it's like, well, I just want to get married when I was 19 and like start a family and everything, but how our friends and our family can really encourage us to say like, hey, you were actually able to use your freedom to minister to others, and we just got married. And then all of a sudden, like, they have their own life, and there are so many freedoms that we have in singleness. And it was on the mission trip in 2014 that I really fell in love with missions, and I was like, I want to be involved with ministry for the rest of my life. And 5 years ago, I started being a counselor at camp and really ministering to young girls and to teenagers, and my heart really goes out to them, because they really taught me what it means to like have fulfillment in things that I didn't think I could get it from, and that the Lord really used them in my life. And there are so many different opportunities that younger girls need us. And like it talks about in Titus, that the older men are supposed to teach the younger men, and the older women the younger women. Sally and Carissa and Malaya, you are all older women that can teach younger women. It doesn't mean that you have to be 28. Like, no matter what, there's always girls that are younger than you that can learn from you, and that people are always watching us. And I think it's really important that we see like what we can give to others instead of what we can give, instead of what we can just take. And that I still have the desire to get married, but it's not consuming my mind. I'm not just like, oh Lord, I'm just going to sit here until Mr. Right comes. Oh, when? And it is hard sometimes. I mean, it was a struggle for me when many of my younger siblings got married, and he was my second youngest brother is 19, and he was in a relationship with a girl when she was 15. And I'm like, 15? I don't want that, but I don't want 28 either. And it's just like, and then, I mean, they got married when she was 17 and had a baby right away, and it's like, okay, now she's expecting number 2, and she's not even 18. No, I'm sorry, she's not 19, she's 18. But even learning from them, it's like, all of a sudden, it's just like, wow, the responsibility of a family and everything, and I'm like, I have freedoms, and my sister-in-law just called me up and I'm like, I can't take my kids in the grocery store with me because of the stupid little, not stupid. Because of this pandemic, and they're like, can you babysit? And I'm like, no, yes, I can babysit. I have the time to babysit. And so sometimes I'm like, Mom, do I just have to sit here and still be your little girl when I should be out on my own? But I shouldn't be out on my own because God is calling me to be at home with my family right now and to minister in different ways to my 21 adorable little nieces and nephews that I'm able to minister to. And it's so fun. Daisy will come over. She's 5 and she's like, when can I have another sleepover with Auntie Laura? And I'm like, that's so fun. So really to pour into the lives, because people are watching us. And they want to know, are we giving God the glory for the stage that we're in? Or are we just content in life? And so